Hey there, curious learners, and welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're diving into, well, one of life's most amazing and, let's be honest, sometimes pretty overwhelming journeys, the incredible world of baby health and development. From those first tiny sounds to those wobbly first steps and everything in between through their first year and even beyond. We're here to guide you. Our mission, like always, is to take all this information out there, studies, expert opinions, practical advice, and sort of boil it down into stuff that's easy to grasp and genuinely helpful for you. Think of it as your shortcut, maybe, to feeling really informed and ready for this adventure.
Absolutely. And it's great to be diving into this with you all. Parenting is just this amazing journey, isn't it? Full of questions, discoveries.
Right.
And we really want you to feel supported, empowered by solid research-backed info. And remember, you're definitely not alone navigating all this. We're here to unpack some really fascinating insights and, practical tips together.
Yeah, and for this deep dive, we've really waded through a lot of material, everything from those adorable first milestones to critical stuff like nutrition, common health worries, and yes, even the big quest for sleep. We've tried to pull out the most important bits, those aha moments, and the advice that we think will really help. And hey, we genuinely love hearing from you. So as you listen, if something clicks or you have a question pop into your head, please share it. Find us on social media. We might even tackle your questions in a future deep dive. Okay, so let's get right into it. Early development, those amazing things we call developmental milestones. We hear that term all the time, but what exactly are we looking at? Why are they so important?
That's a fantastic starting point. Because milestones, they're not just like a checklist. They're vital signs of healthy growth. Health organizations point out that kids reach these milestones across different areas: how they play, learn, speak, act, and move. So in those first few months, say birth to around 6 months, the change is just, wow, incredibly rapid. Think about a newborn barely lifting their head, right? But by 4 months, many are pushing up on their arms, getting stronger. By 5 months, rolling from tummy to back is common. They start reaching for things purposefully, holding a rattle, and engaging through sound to babbling, laughing, copying sounds you make. And often, by 6 months, they're starting to sit up with a little bit of help. Each tiny step is actually a huge leap, cognitively and physically.
It really is amazing to watch unfold. And then as they get closer to that 6 to 12-month period, it feels like everything just accelerates. Movement, interaction. What are some key things parents might see then?
Oh, this is when their world really expands. Around 7 months, a lot of babies manage that big one, sitting completely on their own. Then comes the movement. Crawling, maybe that funny forward lunge they do. By about 8 months, pulling up to stand is pretty common, usually holding onto the sofa or something, and their little fingers get so much more skillful developing that pincer grasp, thumb and forefinger.
Ah, yes. For picking up tiny bits of food.
Exactly. Crucial for self-feeding. And it's fascinating. They start understanding words like no, even if listening is another story. And by about 9 months, you see that cruising, walking while holding onto furniture, and proudly feeding themselves finger foods. It's a real whirlwind of becoming little explorers.
That paints such a clear picture. But it does bring up a common worry, doesn't it? What if my baby isn't doing exactly that right on that schedule? How should we think about those individual differences?
That is such a critical point. It's so important to remember. Babies genuinely develop at their own unique pace. We talk about averages, sure, but it's totally normal for one baby to be early on one thing and a bit later on another. What the research consistently tells us is that the pattern of development matters much more, how they progress over time. Not hitting one specific skill on one specific day, it's about the overall journey, the trajectory. So if you see steady progress and your baby seems happy and thriving otherwise, just celebrate every little win, big or small. Each one is precious.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. From those amazing achievements to what fuels it all, nutrition. It's not just about getting calories in, right? It's fundamental to their overall health, their whole development path. How big is the impact?
It's huge. The science really shows it's the foundation. For those first 6 months, exclusive breastfeeding is, well, the ideal standard. It meets all their nutrient needs. And the research here is pretty striking. Studies link exclusive breastfeeding to a significantly lower risk of death, like 14 times lower, compared to infants not exclusively breastfed. And here's something that really hits home. Malnutrition in that crucial first year, it can actually reduce the number of brain cells by 15 to 20%.
15 to 20%.
Yeah, with potential lifelong impacts on cognitive and physical development. It's serious stuff. And what's also really compelling is the direct link found between early nutrition and longer-term thinking skills. Research has shown a causal link, not just correlation, but causation between breastfeeding and better receptive language skills at age 3.
Okay.
And later on, improved verbal and nonverbal IQ scores when kids get to school age. So it's not just about growing bigger. It's literally about building the architecture of their brains.
That's incredibly powerful. Now, you also sometimes hear about different growth patterns. Can you explain that? How breastfed babies might grow compared to formula-fed ones, and why those differences aren't usually something to worry about?
Yes, absolutely. It's something parents notice. Often, formula-fed babies might gain weight and increase their BMI a bit more rapidly in the first, say, 3 to 6 months. This isn't typically a concern. It's usually down to slight, healthy differences in body composition. Breastfed infants might have a bit lower fat-free mass that's lean tissue like muscle, but higher fat mass or stored energy early on. Formula-fed infants, on the other hand, generally have higher overall nutrient intakes. Both are perfectly healthy ways to grow, just slightly different makeups. And that's actually why the World Health Organization's growth charts, the ones used globally, they use the growth pattern of breastfed children as the standard reference. It provides that scientific baseline.
That makes sense. Sort of sets the standard. Which brings us nicely to starting solids. Around 6 months, usually, when babies are showing those signs, sitting up pretty well with support, really interested in your food, holding your head steady, it's time for new tastes. What are the best first foods? Why those choices?
Yes, it's an exciting time. Experts generally recommend starting with iron-rich foods. So think fortified baby cereals, pureed meats, maybe mashed beans or lentils, some pureed veggies too. The focus on iron is really key because the stores babies are born with start to run low around 6 months. Breast milk alone might not provide quite enough iron then.
And this leads to another important idea: dietary diversity, variety.
Yeah.
Studies show that babies who meet minimum dietary diversity scores, meaning they get foods from several different food groups, tend to have better fine motor skills and problem-solving abilities later. It's not just about getting enough food, but getting a wide range of nutrients for all-around development. And just to really hammer home that iron point, research suggests high intake of cow's milk, like 500 grams, maybe about 17 ounces a day or more, can actually interfere with iron absorption. But things like iron-fortified cereals, meat, and fish, they can significantly boost iron status. So making thoughtful choices when you introduce complementary foods really does matter for their health.
Absolutely. And for anyone wanting more detail on introducing solids, nutrition, all of that, we really recommend checking out www.babykidshealth.com. It's a fantastic resource full of evidence-based advice to help you feel confident with these steps. Okay, so we've covered milestones, nutrition. Let's move into some of the things that often come up alongside all the joys. You know, the questions, the worries, maybe some sleepless nights. It's all part of it. And we just want to say, you're definitely not alone in this. We're all in it together, finding our way.
So true. And one topic that comes up a lot these days is infant probiotics. Parents ask, should I be giving my baby these good bugs? Well, for healthy babies born full term, most common probiotic strains are generally considered safe. They can potentially support gut health, immunity, maybe even brain development. Some specific strains might help with things like colic or reducing diarrhea. But, and this is a big but, they're not a magic fix for everything. It's really crucial to talk to your pediatrician before starting any supplement, especially for preemies or babies with health conditions. They need personalized advice.
Right, always check first. Okay, what about teething? That seems like a universal hurdle, often with some tears involved. Starts around 6 months, typically, but could be earlier or later. Takes about 8 days per tooth, he said. What actually helps?
Yeah, teething. Simple things often work best, according to the science. Gently rubbing their sore gums with a clean finger can feel really good to them. Or offering a solid, firm rubber teething ring, not the liquid-filled ones that can break, something they can safely gnaw on. It's generally best to steer clear of teething gels, especially those with benzocaine or other medications unless your doctor specifically recommends one. Many aren't proven effective, and some carry risks. Really, patience and lots of cuddles are your best tools here.
Good advice. And the other big one, sleep. Or maybe the lack of it. Every parent talks about sleep, what's considered normal, and how do we navigate those inevitable bumps in the road.
Sleep. The holy grail. Well, good growth, like healthy weight gain, often does correlate with better sleep patterns. But disruptions, they're totally normal. Things like teething discomfort, as we just talked about, or separation anxiety kicking in. Even growth spurts can throw sleep off track temporarily. The key really is consistency and reassurance. Stick to calming bedtime routines. Offer comfort when they're unsettled, and try to remember honestly, this phase will pass. These disturbances are usually temporary. Your calm presence makes a huge difference.
That's reassuring, and tied into that often is stranger anxiety and separation anxiety. Those can be tough for baby and for parents. Can you unpack those a bit? What are they, and how can we handle them compassionately?
Yes, definitely. And they're actually positive signs of healthy attachment, even though they feel difficult. Stranger anxiety is that wariness, maybe even fear, of people they don't know well. Separation anxiety is the distress when you, their main caregiver, leave. They often happen together. Some practical compassion-fueled tips. Go slow with new people. Let your baby check them out from the safety of your arms first. Try to stay calm yourself. Babies are like emotional sponges. They pick up on our anxiety.
That's so true.
Yeah. Using a comfort object, a special blanket or toy can help. Respect their boundaries. Don't force interaction if they're clearly uncomfortable. And maybe try short, low-key social visits, like a quick park trip, to gently help them get used to others. And, beyond these, there are other common things parents might encounter, like ear infections, signs might be pulling at the ear, fever, unusual fussiness. It's good to know when to call the doctor, definitely, if symptoms last more than a couple of days, if your baby's under 6 months, high fever, or any drainage from the ear. Then there's the distinct barking cough, usually viral, and something called tongue tie, where a tight band of tissue under the tongue restricts movement. It can affect feeding, sometimes speech later on. Getting that diagnosed and treated early can make a big difference. The bottom line for all these, trust your instincts. If something feels off with your baby, don't hesitate. Call your pediatrician. That parental gut feeling is powerful.
Absolutely. And just a quick important reminder here, especially for things like eczema or if you suspect a food issue, please don't just start cutting out foods randomly without medical advice. It can actually cause more problems, like nutritional gaps. Always talk to a doctor or a registered dietitian first. Okay, let's zoom out a bit now. Look at the bigger picture. What else shapes a child's development beyond the specific milestones in nutrition we've discussed? It feels like such a complex interplay of factors.
It really is. And what's fascinating from the research is that while specific things like, say, breastfeeding status are important, overall developmental outcomes, thinking about communication, motor skills, problem solving, social skills, these seem to be most strongly linked to a combination of factors. It's rarely just one single thing determining the outcome. So what are these crucial influences? Studies consistently point to things like the caregiver's age and education level, the child's own age, of course, and significantly, their nutritional status measured by things like weight for age, length for age, and hitting those minimum dietary diversity scores we talked about. For example, some research suggests that children with younger caregivers and those who have normal nutritional status tend to show more developed motor and social skills. It really paints a holistic picture, doesn't it? Showing how health, environment, and caregiver factors all weave together.
It absolutely does, and it really highlights how vital a stimulating environment and engaged parenting are. It reinforces that tackling malnutrition, ensuring good health overall, and providing rich, interactive experiences. These are all key pieces. They help children reach their full potential. It's about nurturing the whole child, knowing that, knowledge is great, but it's most powerful when you understand it and can actually apply it day to day. And if you're ever unsure, critical thinking is great, but don't hesitate to seek out expert advice when you need it. Wow. We've covered so much ground today, diving deep into milestones, the incredible power of nutrition, navigating those common bumps in the road, all with science-backed insights. We truly hope you feel a bit more informed, maybe a little more confident. And please know, you are doing an amazing job. Remember that idea. You're not alone. We're strong together on this parenting journey.
Definitely. And just a final thought. Every single baby's journey is unique. While the science gives us fantastic guidance, truly the most vital ingredients are your love, your patience, and your commitment. That's the real foundation.
Well said. And if you want to keep learning, explore more evidence-based articles, or connect with others, please do visit www.babykidshealth.com. It's a wonderful resource for reliable information and support. So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's something to mull over. Knowing that every single interaction, every shared laugh, every carefully chosen spoonful contributes to building your child's entire future. What's one small intentional step you might take today to deepen that incredible foundation? Thank you so much for joining us on the deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep celebrating every single tiny triumph.